My gosh, I work so hard.
And when she started her own company, similar reports coming out from Montecito about how no one can work for her. She's a nightmare behind the scenes.
Told me she's still experiencing issues after leaving Meghan's employment. And the way she treated me, she says, of Meghan can only be described as dehumanizing.
All the young women in particular who work for her quit in tears. She so wore them down. It was so nasty.
One of the things that she pointed out was that Meghan was incredibly ugly when Harry wasn't around. But as soon as Harry was around, and another point they made was the mask slipped.
It all began with a whisper, the kind that often swirls around royal families. But this time, it's not just idle gossip or a disgruntled staffer venting on their way out. No, this time, there's a camera involved, cold, silent, and unyielding. Meghan Markle, once hailed as a breath of fresh air in the stifling halls of royalty, now finds herself at the center of a storm, accused of mistreating the very people who kept her world running smoothly behind the scenes. And those whispers? They're growing louder. While the footage remains under wraps, insiders who claim to have seen it describe something deeply unsettling. Meghan, on camera, speaking to a female staff member in a manner that was more than just harsh. It was degrading. This wasn't a fleeting moment of frustration or a simple misunderstanding. It was an encounter that left witnesses speechless. According to those insiders, this behavior wasn't an isolated incident. It marked the beginning of a troubling pattern that emerged shortly after her royal wedding. One former employee, still grappling with the fallout of her time working for Meghan, shared her experience, describing the treatment she received as nothing short of dehumanizing. When the tiaras were packed away and the cameras stopped flashing, the real Meghan, as they say, emerged. This inner circle of former staffers has even dubbed themselves the Sussex Survivors Club. It's not a joke. It's a stark reality for those who felt the brunt of Meghan's alleged wrath. One insider pointed out that Meghan's demeanor shifted dramatically depending on whether Prince Harry was present. When he was around, she was charming, warm, and engaging. But when he wasn't, the mask slipped, revealing a side of her that was anything but pleasant. You don't label yourself a survivor over mere demanding behavior. That term is reserved for experiences that leave lasting scars. What's even more chilling is the level of control Meghan reportedly exerted over every interaction. Former staffers describe a stark contrast between her public persona, full of smiles and hugs, and the private reality behind closed doors. Once the cameras were gone, orders were barked, eyes rolled, and personal jabs were disguised as professional feedback. One aide left the job in tears more than once, while another described their time at the Sussex residence as emotionally exhausting, feeling smaller with each passing day. Then there's the financial aspect. Meghan and Harry walked away from royal duties to carve out their own empire. Netflix deals, Spotify podcasts, book deals, lifestyle brands. On paper, it seemed like the perfect Hollywood escape plan. But in reality, it's been anything but smooth. The Spotify deal crumbled. Netflix has reportedly canceled projects, and Meghan's much-anticipated lifestyle brand fizzled out without a spark. They cashed in their royal chips for independence. But now the cash is thinning, and public goodwill is evaporating even faster. People close to the situation are starting to wonder if this was all a long con. Did Meghan play the victim card to climb higher, only to morph into the very thing she claimed to despise once she had her throne, or at least her version of it? That's what makes these latest allegations so damaging. The footage, if it exists, can't be brushed aside as mere racism, media bias, or royal snobbery. It's visual, visceral, and undeniably damning. And then there's Harry. Where was he during all this? Some sources suggest he would step in when he was around, trying to calm Meghan down and protect the staff, but he wasn't always home. When he wasn't, things reportedly took a turn for the worse. This raises an uncomfortable question. Was he aware of just how bad it was, or did he choose to look the other way? Meghan's brand has always been built on compassion, women's rights, and mental health awareness. Yet, according to an increasing number of insiders, the image she projects to the public doesn't align with the private reality they endured. If that footage ever leaks, the internet won't just react. It will erupt. There's something jarring about watching someone who preaches empathy treat others as if they're disposable. One former staff member who worked directly under Meghan during her royal tenure summed it up perfectly. She didn't speak to us like people. It was as if we were just obstacles in her way. That's a heavy accusation against someone who has built an entire image around uplifting women and advocating for mental health. But when enough people share the same story, it starts to stick. As the curtain rises on this unfolding drama, the stage is set for a reckoning. The whispers are no longer just whispers. They're a chorus of voices, each echoing the same troubling narrative. And as the world watches, the question looms. What will happen when the truth finally comes to light? As the allegations against Meghan Markle continue to swirl, the narrative deepens, revealing a troubling tapestry of behavior that has left many former staffers feeling broken and betrayed. The whispers of mistreatment are no longer just rumors. They are backed by a growing number of testimonies that paint a stark picture of life behind the palace walls. The tension escalates as more insiders come forward, each sharing their own harrowing experiences of working under Meghan's reign. The accounts are chilling. Former aides describe a workplace atmosphere that was not only demanding but emotionally draining. One staff member recounted how Meghan would micromanage every detail, not out of a desire for perfection, but from a need to dominate every room she entered. It wasn't just about getting the job done. It was about control. Employees felt they had to worship at her altar, adhering to her every whim, or risk facing her wrath. The emotional toll was palpable, with reports of staff members crying in bathrooms, dreading morning meetings, and feeling utterly diminished by someone who publicly championed empowerment. The narrative shifts to Meghan and Harry's ambitious leap into the world of celebrity. They left the royal family, hoping to create their own empire, but the reality has been far from glamorous. The Netflix deal, once touted as a golden opportunity, has reportedly fallen apart, and Spotify's partnership ended with a public statement that essentially labeled Meghan's podcast as underwhelming. The lifestyle brand, launched with much fanfare, has fizzled out, leaving many to question whether the couple's vision of independence was merely a mirage. As the financial struggles mount, so does the scrutiny. People close to the situation begin to wonder if Meghan's carefully curated image was nothing more than a facade. Did she play the victim card to gain sympathy and climb higher, only to become the very thing she claimed to despise? The public's perception is shifting, and the cracks in her carefully constructed narrative are becoming harder to ignore. The term Duchess difficult emerges, initially dismissed by Meghan's supporters as media bullying aimed at a woman of color challenging the status quo. But within the royal walls, it was a label that carried weight. Staffers used it to communicate an ongoing issue, a pattern of behavior that seemed to escalate over time. Shouting matches, cutting remarks, and an obsession with hierarchy became the norm, mirroring the very system Meghan claimed to rebel against. Even after stepping away from royal duties, the troubling behavior persisted. Insiders reveal that some of Meghan's personal staff reported similar issues of emotional manipulation and belittling comments. One assistant, who made a minor scheduling error, faced a public berating that left her in tears. Such incidents don't just fade away. They linger, creating a toxic environment that festers beneath the surface. The silence from Meghan's camp is deafening. No denials, no lawsuits, no official statements, just an unsettling quiet that speaks volumes. In a world where silence often equates to consent, this lack of response begins to feel like an admission of guilt. The people who are speaking out aren't strangers. They are the ones who were in the room, the ones who witnessed the behavior firsthand. One particularly striking moment stands out. A source claims Meghan once mocked a staffer's British accent during a team meeting. The room fell into an awkward silence, unsure if it was meant as a joke. But the staffer didn't laugh. She sat there, stunned, a victim of a moment that left invisible bruises. These are the kinds of experiences that don't go viral, yet they leave lasting scars on those who endure them. As the tension mounts, the potential release of the damaging footage looms large. If it exists, and if it ever reaches the public, it won't just be a PR disaster. It will be a character reveal. This isn't about a single outburst caught on camera. It's about confirming what too many people have been saying for too long. The betrayal felt by those who once admired Meghan is palpable, as they grapple with the reality that the woman they supported may not be who she claimed to be. The narrative builds towards a climax, with the world holding its breath, waiting for the truth to emerge. The stakes are high, and the implications are profound. If the footage is real, it could shatter the carefully crafted image Meghan has built around herself. The question remains, when the performance is stripped away, what will be left? And more importantly, who will be left to pick up the pieces? As the storm surrounding Meghan Markle intensifies, the potential release of the alleged footage becomes a focal point of speculation and anxiety. If this video ever sees the light of day, it won't just be a scandal. It will serve as a damning confirmation of the troubling narratives that have emerged from her former staff. The stakes couldn't be higher, and the world is poised for a revelation that could redefine Meghan's public persona. The tension reaches a boiling point as insiders continue to share their stories, each one echoing the same themes of emotional manipulation and dehumanization. The chorus of voices grows louder, and the narrative shifts from mere allegations to a collective testimony of pain and betrayal. Former employees, once proud to work for a woman they admired, now find themselves grappling with the reality that the person they supported may have been a facade all along. The emotional toll of these experiences is profound. Staff members who once believed in Meghan's mission of empowerment now recount feelings of worthlessness and despair. The contrast between her public advocacy for kindness and the private reality they endured is jarring. One former staffer poignantly reflects, "It's one thing to be treated poorly by someone you don't admire. It's another when it comes from someone you looked up to." This sentiment resonates deeply, highlighting the sense of betrayal that permeates their stories. As the narrative unfolds, the silence from Meghan's camp becomes increasingly telling. The absence of denials or official statements speaks volumes, suggesting a reluctance to confront the allegations head-on. In a world where silence often implies consent, this quietude begins to feel like an acknowledgement of the truth. The public starts to wonder, if Meghan truly believed in her image of compassion and empowerment, why hasn't she addressed the mounting accusations? The potential fallout from the footage is staggering. If it confirms the allegations, it won't just be a PR disaster. It will be a character reveal that shatters the carefully curated image Meghan has built. The public, once enamored with her story of breaking barriers and championing equality, will be forced to confront the uncomfortable truth. What happens when the person who preaches empathy is revealed to be the one holding others down? The narrative culminates in a moment of reckoning. The former staffers, once silenced by fear and NDAs, are now finding their voices. They are speaking out not just for themselves, but for the countless others who have felt the sting of mistreatment in silence. Their bravery in sharing their experiences is a powerful reminder that the truth has a way of surfacing, no matter how deeply it is buried. As the world watches, the question lingers, who did Meghan Markle actually help? The facade of kindness begins to crumble, revealing a more complex and troubling reality. The emotional scars left on her staff are a testament to the harm that can be hidden beneath the glamour of celebrity. The narrative shifts from one of admiration to one of scrutiny, as the public grapples with the implications of these revelations. In the end, the silence that once protected Meghan now feels like a shroud of complicity. When you hold the microphone and choose not to speak for those who suffered under your leadership, it sends a clear message. The people behind the scenes are disposable, replaceable, and voiceless. But the truth, as it often does, finds a way to emerge. The bravery of those who have decided to break their silence is a powerful force, and the world is finally listening. As the curtain falls on this chapter of Meghan's story, the anticipation of what's to come hangs in the air. The whispers have transformed into a clarion call for accountability, and the narrative is far from over. The question remains, when the performance is peeled away, what will be left? And as the truth unfolds, the world watches, waiting for the next act in this unfolding drama.